Call to order. Please, can we have a salute to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, we're going to have a moment of silence. We've lost 2 students, so please can we have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Feder.
I just want to acknowledge.
We're going to do the opening percent.
Okay.
I was just going to talk about the moment of silence.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's fine.
Just a second. So, as you just heard from President Mehta, we did lose a current student, a preschooler from Cambridge. She went by Livy. Livy was a loving, energetic, and caring student, of course taken way too young, which reminds us of a quote from an unknown author. Those we have held in our arms for a little while, we will hold in our hearts forever. And it could not be more sad. I know the teacher of Livy and the school, the community, it's a huge loss. So we want to acknowledge that. On the same day, Wendell Allen, who was a grad from 2016, who was one of our star athletes, great kid, went off to Monmouth University. He passed away on the 22nd. So not good news, not good information, but we did want to honor them with that moment. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library and at the Board Office, filed with the Township Clerk, and communicated to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger. Mr. Pulowski, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Deepa Karthik. Here. Mr. Raja Krishna. Mr. Ray Keener.
here.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Present.
Dr. Smitha Raj.
Here.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Scoletti. Mr. Barry Nathanson. Mrs. Joyce Mehta.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we have an approval? Can we have a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda, please? Mrs. Karthik, thank you. Seconded by Mr. Mitchell. Any abstentions? Any discussion? Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We move on now to the report of the student representative, Victoria Gutt. Victoria, please.
Hello, testing. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to see everyone's beautiful faces. Thank you. Let's get started with activities. Prom is coming up for both juniors and seniors. This is the last week for prom packets. Just a reminder that junior prom is May 20th and senior prom is June 10th. We are all very excited to see everyone get dressed up for the fun heading their way. We are proud to announce that student council elections are up and ready. The election packets are located in activities if interested. The Addams Family, a musical comedy, is coming up on May 5th, 6th, and 7th at 6:30 p.m. in the SBHS auditorium. Tickets for students are $8. Tickets for adults are $10. The blood drive is taking place on May 18th and 19th at the high school gym. Our Mr. SBH show is back on May 12th at 6 o'clock in the high school. The Diversity Diction is the brainchild of SBHS Junior, Mai Ishmael. During 2020-2021 school year, one of Mai's teachers, Ms. Tina Janis, had shared an organization called America's Promise Alliance with her classes. Maya was inspired to enter into a competition called the Power of Youth Challenge through this organization. Maya was intrigued by what was supported and stood for, which led her to propose a project. Essentially, they wanted to know if you had an idea or project that had to do with the racial healing, spreading awareness, or diversity. On a short time after Maya submitted the diversity diction outline to the Power of Youth Challenge, they reached out to her to tell her that she was one of the winners and gave her a grant of $250 to execute her project. From there, Maya approached Mrs. K.H. and the SBHS library, and together they worked on a book list of Maya's choosing to help support her project's mission on bringing more diverse books and authors to the school library. Diversity diction books are currently on display in the SBHS library, along with a poster showcasing a colorful list of diverse authors that Maya wanted to exhibit. Maya was shown that our students are capable and understanding that books are powerful tools for learning and embracing diversity. We are so impressed with Maya's hard work bringing her project into action. Great job and congratulations, Maya. And now for athletics. The girls lacrosse, big win at North Brunswick, 422. Girls lacrosse program has raised over $1,500 for the Go for the Goal Foundation, helping families who have children battling cancer. Boys tennis, the boys tennis team is now 4-2 and in second place in the red division. The team has suffered a loss to East Brunswick, who is now ranked number 2 in the state currently. A very strong performance in the first doubles by Adarsh M. and Aditya R. against East Brunswick top doubles team, who had finished second place in the state last year. This shows how they've advanced far this year in the state doubles tournament in June. Some upcoming home events including the following: 429 boys golf versus Sayreville, boys volleyball versus St. Joe's, boys baseball versus Monroe. 430 boys lacrosse versus Princeton, boys volleyball versus West Windsor Plainsboro North, girls lacrosse versus Robbinsville, and 5-2 softball and boys volleyball versus Old Bridge. 5-3 baseball versus Edison, boys lacrosse versus Heisttown, boys tennis versus Edison, and boys volleyball versus East Brunswick. 5-4 girls golf versus Allentown, softball versus East Brunswick, boys tennis versus Monroe. 5-5 boys lacrosse versus St. Joe's, 5-6 boys golf versus St. Joe's, and baseball versus South Plainfield. Thank you all for your attention. Have a great night.
Thank you, Victoria. Moving on now to the report of the Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Feder, over to you.
All right, well, welcome everyone. So I'm going to start just talk about Teacher and Support Person of the Year. So I know, Blair, you have a whole thing ready. We have people here who can take care of this. I just want to share a little piece. So I've been in districts before where this award actually went to whoever was the longest person in the building. That's who won the award. It was literally, if you were breathing the longest, you were the Teacher of the Year. I wish I was joking. I'm not even joking. That's how it was done. The beauty of this is you earn this, not by just because you're breathing a long time, but because you're amazing people that do amazing things for kids. And you've done it in, I know, probably the easiest year you've ever had. I understand. But, and listen, this has been crazy. What are we, 2.5 years almost of just crazy? And for people to be recognized during this particular time period, last year or this year, you're even more extraordinary than the average bear. So on behalf of everybody, I know Blair's going to do a beautiful job, but I just want to say congratulations. You've withstood. You're still here. Thank you. Please come tomorrow. And the rest I'll leave for Blair. Okay, but thank you. On top of this, next week we start Teacher Appreciation Week, which is now, if you drive past Route 1, anyone go home on Route 1? All right, when you go past this time, look at the billboard, the nice new big giant billboard. Look at it. Murph is not here right now, but Murph did something great with the township, and it's a tribute to our staff, and it's great stuff. So a good place to go, and a lot's going to happen next week for everybody, because there's nothing could be more deserved than that you just come every day. We thank you every day. It's so awesome. Again, please come tomorrow. It's a Friday. But really, our staff is amazing. We're extremely fortunate to have you all here. Not just people in this audience tonight, they're the extra special group, but our staff in general and our teachers are amazing. So Thank you. And on top of that, yesterday was Administrative Professionals Day, another day we get to honor people. These are our secretaries who all support us and do amazing things. Can't say enough about them as well. Happiness. More good news, we're off Monday. You don't have to come to school on Monday. Just come tomorrow. Monday, you're free. Eid is another day we celebrate here, and that's a big day at the mosque and ISCJ. So that's going to be happening where schools are closed. Just for people who are looking at an old calendar, we did switch that. It was supposed to be closed on Tuesday. We're now going to be closed on Monday, open on Tuesday. So that's important. And along with that, as of right now, it looks good. I get asked all the time, Scott, is it official that we're off on Friday, May 27th? Well, it's not 100% official, but it's looking really good. That's a day where if we don't use a snow day, you get it back. So hopefully we will not be in school on the 27th. That is the plan. That'll be on the board agenda just to approve the change next meeting. So just know that's happening. South Brunswick, we have a lot going on in the summer. It's getting that time. It's already almost May. We offer sports programs, music programs, kindergarten prep, so families get involved with that. Another important recognition, we have been identified in the 2022 Best Communities for Music Education by the NAMM Foundation. Not the first time. It's they're in their 23rd year for Best Communities, and we win this a lot, and I'd say that we deserve to win, if not for the state, but for the country, for maybe the world. Our program is insane, and it's incredible. And again, for those people who, I know Joanne Kirkus used to call you homegrown tomatoes, people that have only been in South Brunswick. For us that have been elsewhere, it's no competition. I'll be honest with you, South Brunswick's music program is insane. It's incredible. So to our teachers, our kids, our families, it's crazy. The Ed Foundation has another great event. The 10th annual Tour de South Brunswick is coming up, and it features 3 routes. There's a 4-mile family fun ride through a local neighborhood. There's a 10-mile fun ride, which is casual ride. Then there's a 25-mile Tour de South Brunswick throughout all areas of the township, and you stop at Eagles Landing Day Camp. If you don't have a bike, not a problem. Join the Foundation Fun Walk, and so you can still get by that way as well. Another quick note, kindergarten registration. We are currently up to 159 kindergartners. That's not good. So we need a few more. Maybe another 300 or 400 would be nice. So if you guys can all work on that, you are the best of the best. Get us to more kindergartners now, please. In fact, if you don't come in tomorrow, you each owe us 20 kindergartners. Anyone who's not here tomorrow. So that's open, so we need those kindergartners. And one last thing, I just want to say a quick note. I know Blair's going to say this also, but our PTO as well as our Ed Foundation helped sponsor this event tonight. And I believe we have Carolyn Gurgis. There's Carolyn in the audience. So our Ed Foundation. So thank you guys for all you do in raising money to make these things happen. I don't know if we have any PTO folks. We have PTO folks. We'll thank them too. But all right, and that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. So moving on now to the reason why we're here, and the recognition, please, for 2021-2022 Educators and Support Persons of the Year. Over to you, Blair Eisman. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Good evening, everyone, members of the board, our honorees, their friends, family, colleagues, everyone tuning in from home. I'm Blair Eisman, Director of Programs and Professional Development, and I have the privilege of recognizing all of you this evening. It's truly my favorite time of year. It's a happy time. I think the only other 2 times I come to speak to you is about HIB. So this is a very happy presentation. And I'm also thrilled because we did this virtually the past 2 years. So to be back in person this year is really nice. But we get to acknowledge an amazing group of people, and with the many challenges that we're still facing as a result of the pandemic, our staff deserve this more than ever. We are recognizing 22 staff members this evening, but I would like to ask that we give a round of applause for all of our educators and educational support people across the district to show our appreciation. Thank you. This recognition program has been a tradition in the district dating back to 1996. Each year, staff, students, and parents send in nomination letters, and a selection committee reads and scores each one based on a set of criteria. In short, tonight's honorees exemplify our district theme: unify, rebuild, and thrive. Thank you to our nomination writers and readers, as well as our administrators who surprised each honoree in their building with the announcement earlier this month. And for being here tonight. Thank you to the Board of Education for your support, Mary Ann Murphy, and to my assistant, Rachel Collibas, who does everything behind the scenes, and I couldn't do it without her. Like Scott said, a special thank you to the PTO from each building. They purchased one of the honorees' gifts for this evening. It's a nameplate for your desk to display proudly wherever you choose. And I'm very grateful for their continued support of this program, and they always kindly agree to be a part of this tradition. And an equally special thank you to the Ed Foundation. They reached out last year asking how can they be a part of the program and help support our educators and educational support people. And they continued showing their generosity this year. They purchased a second gift that the honorees will receive. It's a small watercolor painting that you're gonna see up here in a few minutes that ties into our theme for the evening. There we go. In years past, the theme of this recognition program has been around a book or literary characters from many books. This year, however, my inspiration actually came from a 5th grade classroom that I visited in the fall, where students were learning about constellations. I listened as they shared their learning. Constellations are groups of stars that take on a particular shape. Their name holds special meaning. Constellations are recognizable patterns of stars in the sky. They are part of the galaxy, and constellations tell stories. The same could be said about our educators and educational support people. They are an integral part of a bigger picture. As they learn and grow, their talents and artistry take shape. They have a special meaning or purpose here amongst staff, students, and families, and their work and character are known and recognized. Lastly, they are writing a story in South Brunswick and helping students and colleagues write their story every day in every way. So as I celebrate each honoree tonight, I'll share with you a constellation chosen for them, the symbolism of the shapes that the constellations form, and the watercolor painting of the constellation they'll receive from the Ed Foundation. But first, I'd like to ask President Mehta to join me at the podium to help me congratulate our honorees. And I also ask Brooks Crossing and Brunswick Acres honorees and administrators to just stand here along the wall. And when one school sits down, the next one could come up to keep us moving. Oh, no, your district, you're right. You're right, don't listen to me, Susan. So without further ado, I will start at Brooks Crossing with Mrs. Susan Neese. Mrs. Neese is being given the constellation Libra, which takes the shape of scales. The scales symbolize harmony, balance, and fairness. These are just a few of the gifts Mrs. Neese brings to Brooks Crossing every day with her positivity, knowledge, calm and loving demeanor, and expert nursing care. Staff and students turn to her because she is always everything they need when they need it, especially during these COVID times. Congratulations, Mrs. Neese. Miss Donna DePayne, paraprofessional at Brooks Crossing Dean's Campus in the preschool ELL program. She is being given telescopium, which takes the shape of a telescope. The telescope symbolizes clarity, curiosity, and magnification. Mrs. DePayne is dedicated to her students and continues her own learning to best meet their needs. It is clear for her that each student deserves to be treated as they were her own, and she zooms in on their strengths, interests, and needs to give them the best learning experience possible. Congratulations, Mrs. DePayne. Congratulations. Next up, we have Mrs. Nicole Stanislawczyk, teacher of students with autism at Brunswick Acres. and she is being given Centaurus, which is the shape of a centaur or a magical creature, half man, half horse. A centaur is intelligent, offers guidance, and is strong. Mrs. Stanislawczyk is a coach to her colleagues and students. She possesses the knowledge and skill set to help them achieve their potential, and her strength and determination is evident on a daily basis. Congratulations, Mrs. Stanislawczyk. Miss Deborah thank you. Moriarty, paraprofessional for students with autism from Brunswick Acres, is actually tuning in from home tonight. She's being given Horologium, which is a pendulum clock. The clock represents change, new opportunities, and the gift of time. Over the past few years especially, Mrs. Moriarty has shown her ability to be flexible and change with the times. She looks for new opportunities for her own learning as well as her students' learning. Time spent with her is a gift to her colleagues and students, and we congratulate her tonight. Miss Lauren Chulamanis, fifth grade teacher at Cambridge, is tuning in tonight from home as well, and she is being given the constellation Sculptor. A sculptor symbolizes vision, creativeness, and the ability to shape. She is clear on what she wants for her students as well as what they need. She not only shapes her students' minds, but also their hearts, instilling a deep love of learning with her nurturing and understanding demeanor. Congratulations to Mrs. Chulamanis. Mrs. Frida Rappaport, paraprofessional for preschool at Cambridge. She is being given Circinus, which takes the shape of a drawing compass. A drawing compass symbolizes potential, unity, and guidance. She sees the potential in every student and uses her experience and knowledge to better assist them. She is patient and kind as she guides our youngest Vikings every day. Congratulations, Mrs. Rappaport. Mrs. Radha Mehta, second grade teacher at Constable. She is being given the constellation Hercules, who is known as a hero. A hero symbolizes courage, skill, and eagerness. Mrs. Mehta is, quote, a carry you across the finish line colleague and a world-class teacher. She is always eager to do well despite any challenges she faces, and that attitude is simply contagious. Congratulations, Mrs. Mehta. Mr. Perry Donato, head custodian at Constable, is being given the constellation Taurus, but not, if you know, I live with a Taurus, they're stubborn. That's not why. The bull also symbolizes hard work, courage, and strength. Have you heard the saying, grab the bull by the horns? That's Perry's mentality. He jumps in and gets the most important work done. He motivates his team to take care of Constable School, and he faced the many challenges of COVID in his role head on. He cares for the staff and students, making sure all are safe and their needs are met. Congratulations, Mr. Donato. Miss Carolyn Hayward, first grade teacher at Greenbrook, is being given the chameleon. Chameleons are unique, have the ability to adapt, and have a 360-degree view. With the many challenges of COVID, Carolyn has been, quote, a model of strength and determination on the toughest days. Her unique ability to dissect the needs of her students and brick by brick rebuild their confidence and skills is commendable. Her view on what is important and how to get her students and families what they need is celebrated. Congratulations, Ms. Hayward. Ms. Carol Cantoni is a paraprofessional at Greenbrook and is receiving, I had to write this one out phonetically, Corona Borealis, which takes the shape of a crown. Crowns symbolize success, honor, and respect. She is honored and respected by her colleagues, students, and families, and vice versa. Carol successfully differentiates instruction, makes learning fun, and challenges herself to learn new things. Students thrive because of her. Congratulations. Congratulations. Mrs. Danielle Quaranta, kindergarten teacher at Indian Fields Dayton campus. She is being given the constellation Columba, which takes the shape of a dove. Doves symbolize peace, devotion, gentleness, and hope. If you know Mrs. Quaranta, there isn't a more peaceful, gentle soul. Her classroom is, quote, a Zen palace. Her devotion to her students is evident in everything she does. There isn't anything she doesn't think of when planning instruction and supports for her students. We know that children are our future, and it's people like Mrs. Quaranta that give us hope. Congratulations. Congrats. Mrs. Sylvia Bianco is principal to the secretary at Indian Fields, and she was unable to attend this evening for good reason, tickets to Hamilton. She is being given the constellation Scutum, which is a shield. A shield symbolizes a protector, a confidant, as well as boldness and stability. Mrs. Bianco's big, bold personality is welcoming, loving, and infectious. She is a trusted colleague with a heart of gold who wants nothing more to protect and take care of her Indian Fields and extended families. Regardless of the problem, Mrs. Bianco will solve it, all with a smile, and we congratulate her. Miss Megan Fetch, preschool teacher at Monmouth Junction. Yes, exciting. Yeah, I know, is being given the constellation Monoceros, which takes the shape of a unicorn. Unicorns symbolize gentleness, happiness, success, and magic, and the work Megan does with her littles every day is truly magical. She is the perfect balance of bubbly and calm. She exudes a, quote, quiet confidence and helps build strong connections and a sense of community in and out of her classroom. Ms. Fetch's many years of experience and success make her a strong leader and role model. Congratulations to you. Mrs. Susan McDermott is also in the preschool program at Monmouth Junction as a paraprofessional. She is being given the constellation of Virgo, which is a woman often depicted with angel-like wings. Angels symbolize light, love, and guidance. Her positive and professional disposition is a bright ray of sunshine in the classroom, and the love for her students, colleagues, and her work is no secret. She is always there for a hug and to lend a helping hand, and she always, always puts students first. Congratulations. Miss Jeanette Barton, instructional support teacher at Crossroads North, is being given the constellation Leo, which takes the shape of a lion. Lions symbolize wisdom, family, courage, and leadership. Miss Barton has, quote, been one of the most important pieces in this school community's recovery in the wake of COVID. Her knowledge is leaving a lasting impact on all. She bravely faces problems with innovative ideas and enthusiasm. You could see just how deeply she cares for her colleagues, students, and families at Crossroads North. Congratulations. Miss Amy Meyer, here on the right, is a custodian at Crossroads North, and she was not able to attend tonight, but she is receiving the constellation Orion, which is the hunter. A hunter symbolizes strength and is both a seeker and provider. Despite her own personal challenges, she steps up to help anyone with any task. She looks for ways to support those around her and provides a sense of family and care. Miss Meyer is an important part of the Crossroads North community, and we congratulate her tonight. Miss Liz Steady, special education teacher at Crossroads South. She is receiving the constellation Ursa Major, which is the Great Bear. The Great Bear symbolizes strength, nobility, protection, and courage. Her skill set, communication skills, and encouraging, calm, and patient demeanor are just a few of the qualities that stand out. Miss Steady is an advocate and upstander for her students and families. She is the type of teacher that stays with her students for a lifetime. Congratulations. Miss Renee Davey, special education paraprofessional at Crossroads South, is receiving the constellation Phoenix, which is known as the Firebird. A firebird symbolizes balance, gentleness, passion, and harmony. Miss Davey has, quote, consistently been a positive figure in the lives of our most needy population. Her dedication and kindness is beyond measure. Her words and actions reflect her thoughtful and positive nature. She brings a balance and passion to the classroom that does not go unnoticed. Congratulations. Congrats. Both of our honorees at the high school couldn't be here tonight, but we're still going to celebrate them. Miss Stacy Grab, special education at the high school. She is being given the constellation Auriga, which takes the shape of a charioteer. A charioteer symbolizes overcoming obstacles, grit, determination, and willpower. Miss Grab, quote, does so much more than simply share her knowledge with students. She calms them, encourages them, corrects them if necessary, and warms them up on the inside. Regardless of her own struggles, she brings a passion and energy that is infectious. She has moved full steam ahead, changing her techniques and taking opportunities to perfect her skills. She has provided many with perspective and someone to look up to. Congratulations to Mrs. Grab. Mrs. Kim Ryan, Administrative Assistant to Athletics, is being given the constellation Vela, which takes the shape of sails. Sails symbolize peace, journey, momentum, and power. Mrs. Ryan is truly, quote, the heartbeat of the athletics department and valued and respected by the entire SBHS community. On this journey, she's kept everyone around her moving forward with her encouragement, support, problem-solving skills, professionalism, and positivity. Her calm and quiet demeanor brings a sense of peace and this confidence that all will be all right. She single-handedly has the power to steer anyone or anything in the right direction. She is truly a special individual whose impact over the years is immeasurable. Congrats to Mrs. Ryan. And last but not least, we have our two district-wide honorees. First is Mrs. Susan Driesen, an English language learners teacher, district-wide. She is being given the constellation Sagittarius, which takes the shape of an archer. Archers symbolize a sense of direction, strength, and alignment. Mrs. Driesen is, quote, one of those people who is woven into the fabric of the district. Her experience is unparalleled and unquestioned, and she is adored for her fear-nothing approach and overall positivity. She knows what direction she wants to see herself, students, families, and ELL colleagues to go, and keeps the program in sync. Mrs. Driesen is retiring this year, and although her work will live on forever, she will be undoubtedly missed. Congratulations to you. And then there's our Dom. Dom. Mr. Dominic Ferrara, Courier, district-wide, is being given the constellation Tucana, which is a toucan. Toucans symbolize intelligence, playfulness, and they are a messenger. Yes, he's an actual messenger in that he delivers mail and packages to us every day across the whole district, but he also delivers joy to everyone he comes in contact with. There is a warmth to his presence. He is witty, an excellent problem solver, and he's always willing to help anyone in any way. His heart is huge. He is a big part of the history of South Brunswick, and his absence will be felt for years to come as he's retiring also. Congratulations, Dom. Congratulations. And that concludes our recognition program tonight. One final round of applause for all of our honorees. Thank you for your help. Thank you. And I will turn it back over to President Mehta. Thank you all.
thank you, Blair, for that awesome presentation. And thank you to you all for coming here, for the great job that you do for our district. Honestly, we're very, very grateful to each and every one of you. So thank you so very much. Moving on now to our public hearing section, 2022-2023 school district budget. And over to you, Mr. Plowski and Mr. Feder.
So here's your choices.
Don't make the wrong choice. Don't make the wrong choice.
I'm going to take probably take me 2 minutes to get all the way to that mic over there. So then I'm going to do a budget presentation.
And I'm writing down names, whoever's running for that door.
But it's going to take me about 2 minutes to get over there. Just saying that's how long it'll take me.
I'm writing.
Hey, Scott.
Bye, everyone.
David, I just want to say I'm sorry. But Suzanne is your winner. Suzanne's budget gets a boost next year.
I'm surprised the tech crew didn't just pack up and run as well.
All right, the least you could do is leave quietly, people.
Yeah.
I'll give another minute.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Dave, next time on the agenda, put budget first.
Every time I do that, you switch it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can try.
You have to say $1 million increase. Oh, wait, that was a mistake.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so this document, a little bit different than our one we gave you before, because we make the updates and changes. Dave and I worked on this, and then we gave it over to the Finance Committee the other night, just to make some final reviews and make sure all the questions were addressed. So we're going to go through it. As we've shared, we are looking at a $1.7 million cut. But like every year prior to this, our job is to manage this budget in a way that keeps our programming and our kids at the forefront of all the decisions related to budget. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, happy that we were able to do that again, even with the $1.7 million. But I'll talk more about that as we go. So the goals of when we do a budget, we want to really be clear with everybody, transparent, be honest in how we spend money and what we do. We want to maintain everything we come up with. So, right, this is about the academics. We want to make sure extracurriculars stay. And we always forget, we're a school district, but you don't run a school district without your operations. And it's a big deal. And operations, things that fall under operations are pretty much all of those other things. The business office, the transportation department, the buildings and grounds department, all that needs to be in high operation at all times. So that still needs money, and it still needs to be addressed year in, year out. We want to be clear in our communication and why we made certain decisions. And right now, we are also not only facing a $1.7 million cut from the state, and I'll say this maybe 30 or 40 times in the next half hour, for no good reason whatsoever, why we're losing $1.7 million. No explanation, random, in my opinion. With that, we are hit with inflation like the rest of the world, 8-point-something%, gas hikes, and Dave shares a recent number. I'll just share it for you, Dave, real quick.
Yep.
A normal month. Dave, what's a normal month?
It's about 23,000.
Normal month.
A normal month for transportation, busing.
For gas.
For gas.
For gas. And the other day, we got a bill for 10 days of 24 grand. Is that correct?
For 10 days.
For 10 days. So we're looking at also, as we go forward, we don't know where this is going to be in September. So Dave had to pump up some money in that area.
But
probably didn't pump up enough, I would imagine, Dave.
Just to be clear, that's for 10 days, and we're typically 20 operation days in a month. So
Yeah.
you double that per month. So our new normal is
Right, it's
480,000 as compared to the 230,000 that we typically budget.
Right. So Dave manages that, and just understand, when we get to the end of a year, we still need to come up with money. And Deepa, you're going to explain fund balance tonight.
It's the VIG.
So I talk about this every year because we're in this model every year.
Right.
We are in a deficit model because we are not one of the districts who are receiving millions of dollars, Ray. We are one of the districts who are losing millions of dollars. But in a deficit model, it means you're starting the year, July 1, we start needing to do the same thing we did this year with less money. It's deficit. Kind of like if your salary went down 1% every month, it would be difficult to manage all of your bills as your bills go up every month. So with that, we have to manage that. The S2, we're already at a deficit model even before S2. So we're at S2 plus deficit model. We can still only go to 2%. There's no system in place. We've heard over the years they're going to come up with ways to help with the 2%. They've done the opposite. They've made it even harder to find any other way, excuse me, outside of going to vote. And while we're not there at this moment, I can't tell you we won't be there in the next year or two. We'll have to see how this goes. So we talk about this 2%. This was done in 2010 and 11. And it might have been a good reason. You know, there was problems, but that's changed. And that has not changed. So things that have changed in the country and in the economic world, but not here. So we are just in a situation, and I'm going to talk more about this as we go, but this is really the last time we can handle this. Like, we're presenting a budget that for the 5th year in a row will have no impact to students at all. None. But that's it. We're done with that. We will not be in this boat again if the state continues to come at us for the next 1 or 2 years. So just keep that in mind. So this is what we deal with. These are some terms: state aid, local fair share, tax levy, and again, all that fuzzy math. But the tax levy is the number. It's about 120 million. You'll see that shortly. And that number is what we collect from the town. That's how much is collected. Other monies come from different places. So if you look here, the tax levy is 119, but also from the town, we collect the fourth from the bottom, that number called debt service. So that 126 and change is how much South Brunswick puts towards the schools. Total budget's 156 million. So you can see where about $30 million is coming from elsewhere, and that includes state and federal grants and aid. That's where that comes from, as well as revenues that we collect. So if you look at the second and the third bullet, you're talking about a little over $1 million in tuition we get from different various sources, as well as miscellaneous revenue. The word revenue would be after miscellaneous. And that's our money. That's it. 156 million is not chump change by any stretch. The problem is to keep doing what we do every year in a world of inflation, you have to have more. You just have to have more. And next year, we could be looking at that number being about the same after we add 2% in tax levy, but reduce it by that same 2% from state aid loss, or worse. That's what we're potentially facing. Dave's job, and he does it extremely well, is to get that bottom number to be exactly what it says up there, 0. We are not a system or a business where we can come in with leftovers. It doesn't work that way. We have to estimate our spending based upon how much money we have. And that's what David does. Then we all do it. We go through a pretty big process. It started back around January, Dave? December, maybe?
Yeah, December.
Where all budget managers, that's principals, department heads, all come up with what they feel they need for the next year. Then there's a lot of people that don't get everything they're looking for, but we do the best we can to get exactly what we need. And that really makes this work. So it isn't just David in the back room twiddling and using his desk calculator. It's a lot of people doing a lot of things to try and get this here. So it's a big deal to get here. What's not up there are the grant funding specifically. It's up there, but it's not quite there. And I'm glad Suzanne stayed. If you just take a look over to our one guest tonight, Suzanne handles a good portion of that with Jen, the title accounts. And that's how we do that. And that's another big job. It's a ton of paperwork. I can tell you in Millstone, we turned down some of the money because it just wasn't worth it. Here we get enough money where it's worth it, but it's a lot of work. So kudos to Jen and Suzanne for making that happen every year. Also, you get some help from the business office. I think Kelly used to help us with that.
We still are. We have Stephen.
Corso now? Okay. So again, thanks to Stephen as well. So again, a lot of people, a lot of work, but I will say the mastermind in the back is Dave, who does keep us afloat every year, that we're not in really desperate measures year in, year out, which we should be, to be honest. We should be. We're in a horrible financial situation, but you just wouldn't feel it, thanks to Dave and the rest of the team. So this is what I'm talking about. In 2018-19, we were at 24.9, so almost 25 million. They're dropping us to 16 million. We have no idea. I'm just going to be dead honest. No idea if this chart means anything at all. I could not tell you anything if this is reality or not. 2022-23, that's reality. That's what they've told us. We've lost 1.74 million. Next year, we're going to lose somewhere between 2 and 3.2 million if this comes to pass. Next year could be 2, the following year could be another 1.2, or who knows? Or nothing. I really don't know. And that's a problem for us because we are long-term budget planners. Very difficult to do that. Do apologize for the coughing. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Scott? Cough drop?
No. If I just stopped talking, maybe it would help. My wife tells me that all the time. So again, I don't know what to tell you. We're going forward next year knowing what we're doing. And we'll talk about what we're going to do about this in a few slides. So as I was talking about, this is the potential impact. Maybe we'll lose a 0, maybe we'll lose 1, maybe 2, maybe 3.3. Don't know. And this year we found out on March 10th that we're losing $1.7 million. And this is due today. So
Old Bridge was a perfect example this year of a district that was slated. They planned on losing close to $10 million, and they were only cut 3.5. So as much as people are planning for, big cuts, and they went through the entire process. They had teachers eliminated, positions eliminated. The board voted on a budget, and when they came to they got their state aid, it was not as bad as they thought. But it puts people through a whole process. You're talking about people's livelihoods and people's jobs, and
bad.
I think what the state's doing here is a real disservice because it's going to put a lot of fear in a lot of people with regards to their positions next year.
Yeah. So again, just how the money, we just kind of went over that, but that's where the money comes from. The big bulk of it, of course, is local, and then the rest of it comes from other various places we just talked about. Another version of this is the original, this is the document received from the state. This is the one that outlines kind of what we're trying to base this off of, but good luck. There's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. That 1.77, Dave had an epiphany the other day. He's like, they're just off by a year. I go, no, we already lost that.
Yeah.
We don't even know. We really don't. And we can ask anybody in the state and get no answers. I can promise you, I could ask every single legislator, every person at the Department of Education, they'll have no answer, not one. They won't even, at this point, they won't even try anymore. They don't bother even stop trying to answer because they have no idea. The formula is a joke, and they know it's a joke, but we're unfortunately on the laughing side of the joke.
Yep.
Another just way it looks, looking forward, kind of what we do, what we did, where we were. Extraordinary aid, when Dave was playing this before, we were looking at a 1.3. You'll see that we had to up that. Another $500,000 in what we're hoping to get from the state. We'll talk more about that. But this is what the reason no one's here is that. This is the only page that our community really, at the end of the day, pays attention to. And it's been the same for 5 years. It's the same every year. We keep doing our best, but the township, because the township's valuation continues to rise, the taxes don't. We look good, but I can tell you, we didn't create that. That's really created by, no one created it. It's the township. Just the idea that the valuations are high. So we believe going forward, this has to be taken into consideration. And we have to look at how we get money from the community. whether it be a vote, whether it be something else. There has to be something else. We're not going to survive 2 more years of this. Well, you'll survive, but it ain't going to look pretty. But it's great news. Happy to report that. We still have a very low tax rate where, I think is that number 30? No, I can't read that. 20? Number 20.
Yeah, we're number 20.
The 2.04 is a very low equalized tax rate. And, you know, we talked about this last time, but it just shows we do a good job. The township does a good job. The district does a good job. So what do we do? So the big deal here is the health center right now is something we are factoring in as a savings going forward. So you all saw the projections. Let's hope we get anywhere near those projections. And that's going to be a big help. So what we do in this world is when you can't get more money, you have to figure out ways to cut expenditures. The traditional way that people cut expenditures are they fire people. That's how you cut expenditures in a system. Well, we've been really good, and again, Dave's been really, really good at figuring out ways that we could do things that will not require us to cut people or cut programs. Transportation was another one. If we didn't do that right now, I'd be up here right now and probably about $2 million in cuts. About $2 million in cuts right now if we didn't do that. So thanks to the board for making that and letting that happen. Every year we grew programs and for efficiencies. Transportation was one of those. That was a big one this year. It was not efficient. We were not running transportation as efficiently as we could, so now we are. And we're going to assess that. We're going to see what it looks like, and we're going to keep reviewing it and trying to make that better. But we do that with everything. We do that with all of our programs. We do it with our academic programs. We do it when we're talking about buildings and grounds. We do it, the whole district does it. And it's just something we have to do. Health is a $24 million budget line. $24 million. So if we just continue to sit and do nothing and let it grow exponentially, you'd have people you're saying goodbye to in the audience tonight who would be terminating their jobs. So those first 3 things alone allows us to continue to roll. Over the years, we've looked at our insurance, not just health insurance, but our property and loss insurance. Made changes that saved hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Took investments, reinvested, again, making more monies. These are all things that need to occur. We can't just sit. We already know that looks bad, sitting. This bus lease purchase program, remember Dave? Remember Dave was all excited? He sold his buses for like $70,000 for used buses, 5-year-old buses. It's huge. This is an amazing program we're doing right now. So that's been great. ESIP.
I'll talk to this.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Take a break.
Give me a break.
So one of the things that we constantly do with the ESIP project, DCO has been working with us. Even though the ESIP is over, we still have a kind of a maintenance contract with them. And that contract, the whole ESIP project was supposed to save us 40% of our energy expenditures. They came in and did a study, and they've come to the conclusion that we're up more about 57%. So it's more than 17% higher than what they expected the first time. That's savings to our program. But even on top of that, we're constantly looking at this ESIP and the solar projects that we've done in the district. And one of the things that I had found was that the way PSE&G monitors and rolls over every year or renews, you have a renewal date every year. And what happens is we acquire solar credits every summer. The solar panels are creating energy, and we have these solar credits. And what happens is if your renewal date is in September, all of those credits back up, and they use them every month, and it kind of buys off your bill. It pays for your energy. Well, if your renewal date is in September, all of those credits get wiped out in September. So we went in with DCO and worked with PSE&G, and we moved all of our renewal dates to January so that we can get the optimal benefit of our solar credits to take us all the way up through November, December.
David, I just want to make
So-
one correction. You said that we were supposed to get 40%, and now we're getting 57%
About 50
savings?
right.
That's a 40% increase, not a 17% increase.
40% increase. There you go.
40% increase over expectation,
So,
Increased by 17%.
right, increased by 17%.
which is 40% of the original 40%.
The original 40%. I'm with you now. All right. So on an overall, when we talk about this ESIP project, as much as the ESIP project, we thought we would kind of wash our hands and be done with it, they're still in the district, they're still working with us, and we're still finding ways to improve our savings with regards to energy across the
great
district.
stuff.
And it's a wonderful program.
And our last one is we're talking about forming a stakeholder budget committee. We don't want to wait till March next year to find out what the damage is. So if I go back to that slide, 0, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, we have to approach it this way so our community is fully aware of the potential impact. And I do believe we should be starting up the Lisa's world and start getting we got to get the word out. We got to get people banging the doors down, get in front of legislators.
I've already wrote it down.
It's just ridiculous at this point. And
Yeah.
all the nonsense chatter from the state has been useless to
Yeah.
South Brunswick for 4 years now.
We'll have a discussion.
So that's going to be an important committee, and I don't see that starting before the summer. Summer maybe, but mostly September. Get started, take our time, and be very transparent with our community about what the potentials are. You know, again, back to asking people what matters most, because we might be in a position to have to prioritize, and that's tricky. But again, we haven't done everything. There's always other ways to manage, but we have to stay away from the center of the circle. That's student learning, student options, student opportunities. Stay away from that as long as we can. We've kept away from it for the full 5 years, even losing all this money. Again, I told you I was going to say this over and over again. That's not going to last forever. Deficit model does not last forever in a positive way. Eventually, Dave's going to run out of tricks. We're not going to be able to continue to turn different things over and upside down to find more dollars. But we will continue to try. So just a little bit about the health center, because there's so much information out there that is relatively inaccurate. So we want to make sure we clear this up. First of all, I want to do a quick little workshop on funding. Funding comes from multiple places, but when we talk about things in capital reserves, that is not the operating budget. The operating budget is your day-to-day, your cost for people, the staff. There are recurring expenses. When we do things like the health center and the build-out of the health center, the majority of that money is coming from capital reserves. And then what we get are people, and we just had this, somebody even came here and did it. You should just not do the health center and instead put all that money towards the district. No, you cannot do that. Think of it this way. At the end of a month, let's say you had a good month, you're home, your own personal finances, you had a good month, really good month. And you have a bank account, you have a savings account, but at the end of your month, you have $1,000 left over. At the end of a month. It was a good month. Whatever happened, you didn't do what you were going to do. You saved $1,000 that month. Can you go out that month knowing that you don't always have $1,000 extra at the end of a month? Can you go lease a $1,000 new car and be able to afford it every month? No. You only have the $1,000 the one month. What are you going to do the next month? It's not there. Capital reserves is that $1,000. You can use it, but you cannot use it to expend on recurring expenses. All you'll do is create a hole you'll never get out of. Not possible. Different monies. Plus, if we don't do the health center, then you're just going to see an increased cost to healthcare, year in and year out. You can't afford it. But that isn't the reason you do it. The reason you do this is better healthcare options for our staff. And I've heard the worst things from this community, and I'm sure even people that probably came from people that don't even live in this community, to be honest with you, or who have no understanding or are not interested in learning about the health center.
Yeah,
Why would we only do this for our staff?
right.
Are you kidding me? Why would we do this for our staff? Like, I'm sorry. I can't even comprehend that level of ignorance, to be honest with you. Better health care for our staff is better for our students and better for our staff. Health care where they can come in a quick notice to an on-site place and then get back to school if that's all they needed to teach kids, better for kids, better for them. So absolutely, anyone who thinks we should not be taking care of our staff, their health, I'm sorry. Find another place to live. That is just not the way to think in South Brunswick. We take care of our staff. That's what we do. And we believe this is a major component to how best to do that. Yes, we hope it saves money. But if all it was going to do is save money and be worse for staff, we wouldn't be bringing it to you. That's an important factor. So please, be advocates for this logical thought. Should this be for staff? Absolutely, we should be doing this for staff. Absolutely, we should be doing it. So, with that said, let's hope that $2 million a year projection, we're close to it, because that will help us get through this next few years. That's going to be important. And we'll watch, and we'll see, and we'll make adjustments, just like we do with ESIP, as David just pointed out. We'll continue to watch and monitor and make adjustments. That's what you want us to do, and that's what we'll continue to do. But again, the way this is funded comes from capital reserves for the build-out, then we run it on the operations side. But again, it's money coming from where we normally, back in the day, would have been paying premiums. Anyone know how much a premium is for a family right now? You're looking at about 40 grand. It's about 40 grand. So we need to keep that managed. And this is one of the ways we're looking to do it. So kudos to Dave, to the team working on this and bringing this to the reality. Right now, the first floor at BHL is a train wreck. It has ditches, it has moats. I think they're building a lazy river. We're not really sure what they're doing in there. But when it's done, it's going to be a beautiful health center. Yes, for our staff, about 1,000 people and their families.
Right.
So about 2,700 lives, I believe, is the number we were quoted.
You're a little bit low. We're more around 48.
4,800 lives?
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. We also wanted to talk to you about these facility projects you've heard about over the time. Another example where the money, it isn't like we can say, don't do the roof, instead buy more teachers or more buses. Can't do that. This money is earmarked for capital projects, building type projects. That's where it has to be spent. So even if we don't do these projects, it does not free up money, does not solve our S2 problem. But
I'd have to say our facilities committee and Brian Redfield, along with our architect, have been pretty instrumental in moving around the district and identifying these projects specifically as a starting point to getting our district back up to speed with regards to facilities that really do enhance the learning project or learning experience. At the high school alone, we did that waterfall project. You could just imagine every year during rain season at the high school, they had a waterfall that was coming into the building, and they would put these big buckets out and collect water. And it'd been like that for almost 15, 16 years. And we fixed that. And our facilities committee of this board and Brian Redfield instrumental in getting these facilities back up to speed.
And we don't want to get back there again.
Right.
So we have to continue to do this. This is the operation sides of the business, and it needs to be done. We're also doing some cool things. We're doing some retrofitting. We're taking part of the building at Cambridge, the little side building. It's going to become an adult school facility for our students. Huge. Could it eventually be a moneymaker? It could be. You build that really well, you build it, they will come. That's potential. Not for next year, but the potential. There was a tuition line you saw, about $260,000. Be great to get that number up through things like this. So while it's a little upfront investment out of capital monies, the goal here is to build the state-of-the-art program.
That whole project's funded through grants.
That's grants? Okay, thank you.
Grant funded.
Preschool retrofit, we're working on to get our preschools all at Dayton and Deans for next year, and that's being taken care of as well. Then some of the bigger projects, the HVAC replacement in North and South, that's a big deal. Then you see a bunch of the other maintenance projects all coming out of these different funds. Most of it's reserve monies and grants. Some of it becomes operations money, but that's where the majority of this comes from. And then the number's big, Dave. Is it about 9 to 11 million for everything?
Lisa?
No. Me?
Yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you asked Dave.
I did.
He did. But what are you thinking?
What am I thinking?
About 9 million.
I think
Yeah.
it's pretty
About 9
good.
million, right? Yeah.
About 9 million. You're on the committee.
So anyway,
No, I thought he was talking to you.
I was talking to Dave. He just didn't
Yeah.
want to answer, so I
He's
gave it to you.
throwing-
I wanted to toss to you. Yeah.
But good stuff, very important. So maybe not the flashy stuff of like, a new academic program, but this all needs to happen just as much. So again, back to some things we do, looking to improving the revenue generating programs. The problem and the challenge of revenue generating programs, when they're revenue generated from our own parents, it's kind of like a weeble, right? You're taking it from here instead of over here. However, we haven't raised taxes. So the idea of needing to look at our fee structure is important. Not fun, no one likes it. But we haven't changed fees in a long time for a bunch of things, and we just have to start looking at that. We got to remember, the cost of doing business is extremely higher than it was pre-pandemic. You have to just remember that. The cost of everything is more for us to do as well. Leaving our prices without new tax is great when we can do it, but we're getting to that point where next year that's going to have to be part of the conversation as we go with that committee. Big one for us this year is the third bullet. This was assessing enrollment. So this is something that Kim and I do. We look at the enrollment, and we are still shrinking. However, we're going to be calling for a shared service committee meeting to learn from the township what's going on out there. Some stuff's starting to come up. We have to see how that's going to impact. I will say that the projections right now for the high school, next year dropping about 110 kids. The next year after that will be dropping another 100 kids. So we'll be down to about 2,600 in 2 years. Middle schools are dropping as well. Middle school is going to be somewhere hovering around the 900 range for both middle schools in a year or two. So again, those are differences. The elementaries, we had room. So we were able to make cuts to staffing that have no impact on students whatsoever, and no loss of jobs necessarily. We hope that anyone that we're trying to keep, that we'll have jobs for. That's what we're hoping for. And there's only a few right now, Kim, a couple out there that we hope to still be able to get jobs for. So working on that. But these are reductions because, well, I can't make class size of 12. And that's the difference. That's happened at the high school. It also happened in the elementary. But in the high school, we found 2 positions due to enrollment in the high school. However, we also are seeing a massive increase, this is not good news, of substance abuse and kids that are really struggling. So we added another counselor or SAC. They're working on that now. So we traded monies in the high school. We took one position that was we were able to take away. Instead of taking the money, sorry, Dave, we put that back into the high school to repurpose it. One we did take because we were able to and we needed the money. But that's the kind of things we do to balance. So that enrollment was a big deal, maximizing those grants I talked about before, and just continuing to do these things that we've talked about these things. So it's working. We're presenting a budget tonight that is chock full of everything the district always does. So that's how we're doing it. But we still have to tighten the belts. We are not in good shape we do not have good financial health going forward. That's not a good thing to say, but we don't. And that's because of everything we've been doing to keep us afloat. It's now hitting the brick wall. That concept of increasing fees, we're going to have to hit programs next year. What are we going to do? Resource, it's all of it. Now we have strategic planning implementation. So now we're rebooting that again. That started yesterday with the admin team. But again, part of that conversation, I know Suzanne, Jen, and I had that I think was it today we talked about that? This morning, that we don't want to start amazing things that we can't afford to maintain. So we have to think about what we're going to do in these important areas that we can maintain and manage and keep year to year. That's important. Ultimately, we are presenting to you a budget. The one we are being asked to publicly approve tonight does not take away anything from our students. And that's pretty much the best news I could tell you. Questions? And Dave and I will.
Any questions to my right? Any questions? Seeing none? Any questions, Dr. Raj?
So there was talks of reaching out to Senator Zwicker and our assemblymen about finding some extra money for the district. Any updates?
Nothing as of now.
Can you repeat the question?
Judge, the question just was reaching out to various legislators to see if there's any extra money. Last year, Assemblyman Zwicker, now Senator Zwicker, did get us $1 million. Don't know what he did, but he was magic. We need to name a constellation after him, I think. And we got $1 million that was specifically only dedicated to HVAC work at Crossroads. So that did help to fund that project. But as of right now, no one's doling out any checks. Sorry.
Actually, I have a question.
Mrs. Rogers?
One of the comments that you made earlier about kindergarten enrollment, we're at 159. Assumptions, okay? If this continues on this track and this trend, you've got two buildings that I can think of, that just two smaller K buildings, the Dayton and Dean's. Considering that you were looking at Cambridge for adult school, if things continue on this path and we have to start looking at where kids go to which schools, could we instead consider one of those schools instead of building out Cambridge or doing what you're doing in Cambridge? It might be too late. Is it something that we could do?
They're two totally different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is it something that we are watching?
So we have to meet with the town to see what's happening with enrollment, not enrollment, with building, so then we can correlate that to enrollment, and that's all part of what's next year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mrs. Karthik?
Scott, I think, can you hear me? The formation of the stakeholder budget committee is a great idea. I wanted to understand what was the timeline that you had in mind to create this committee?
I'd love to get it started by September, but latest by September, and then it would run probably until David needs us done, probably September to December, January.
All right, thank you.
Scott, I have a question for you. The question is this, right, that year in, year out, we're always here in this position where there are huge discrepancies between districts as to how much money they get in terms of state aid. And I was just wondering, right, you know, it seems pretty random right now, but there might be a formula. And is there any way that we can go back, we can appeal, we can ask for the formula as to how, you know, how we were allocated this much money, and if there was any kind of like possibility of us asking for more money based on XYZ criteria?
So the formula is a mystery even to the people that created the formula. Yeah. They've blocked years of OPRA requests to get the formula. A judge has ruled that they have to provide the formula, and the formula is a gobbledygook, my favorite word this year. It's another example of gobbledygook. The formula is like pi, 3.14 with 1,000 digits after it, and then one digit changes for one district, maybe not all the districts. There's no explanation. As far as appealing for more money, where were the other 200 S2 districts? All in the same boat trying to get more money. So we're going to keep trying, but there's no like, hey, we don't like that, give us more money. That doesn't really exist.
But there's no formal process?
No.
Okay. And the next question is this, that the numbers are dropping, as you say, right, for kindergarten and high schoolers and everything. Do we know why they are dropping by this many students? Because we always see fluctuations and we always see some, you know, some students leaving. But do we have any idea as to?
To get a full view of that, we would need to do a demographic study to fully learn that, which would probably cost us between $25,000 and $35,000 to get that demographic study. We did originally put in place the idea of doing that, when we thought we were going to be getting 5,000 homes being built.
Right.
By meeting with the township for an update, we hope to learn what we might be facing in the next 2 or 3 years. At that point, it could be determined that a demographic study is needed. Demographic study will look at birth rates. I'd imagine the decline is to do with birth rates. That's usually what it is. So if you go back 5 years, and then you do a full study from, let's say, our current 9th graders to birth rates this year, maybe those aren't out yet, but at least birth rates from last year, you're probably going to see some form of correlation to our decline in enrollment. There really would be no other major, and what that would mean, if that's true, is that the township is aging, right. Meaning that people there's a flow of real estate where I live in a home until my last child graduates high school, and then people consider a move. In an aging community, people are kind of happy where they are, and they don't move. So then you know when a family moves with their kids no longer kids in the school, then a new family buys the house and they bring new kids into the school. That's the rotation. So that rotation's off right now. I can't answer. I don't have that skill set to be able to do that without doing all the work. So we would hire a company to do that, to determine that, which could be something down the road. It probably will come up next year as an idea to determine, but right now the predictions have been really simple for us. It's been following, and we've had one really bizarre random, and that was Monmouth Junction, next year's 2nd grade, for whatever reason, is almost half the size of every other grade in Monmouth Junction. No understanding of it. It was like around this time, 2 years ago, there were 22 registered kindergartners. So we put 2 teachers there knowing you're going to get more. You always get more from April to, September. No, not one. Then the whole next year went, not one. So we still had 22. Now it went up a little bit. We actually took kids from Greenbrook, put them over there. So now they're up to 27, but 3 or 4 don't have to continue at Monmouth Junction. So it's another wacky situation. But other than that, it's been pretty reliable the way we've been doing it. We can see the difference. We can see them year to year.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of the rules that govern this portion of the meeting are available to the public at the back of the room, or you can obtain an advanced copy by contacting the board office during regular business hours. We reserve the right to limit each speaker to no more than 3 minutes. It is our plan to listen to each member of the public. We will note all questions and comments made. Once all questions and comments made from the members of the public are made, the Board of Education will respond, if necessary, to questions or comments in the most timely and efficient manner available. Please consider not repeating any comments or questions made by other members of the public. I ask that you state your name, your place of residence, or your group affiliation. Mr. Pawlowski, do we have any registered speakers?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody who would like to make any public comments on agenda items only? Seeing none. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is the consent agenda review and the walkthrough. Over to you, Mr. Pawlowski.
Our consent agenda, as per the board update, is not as extensive as one would think. We have a few things going on. We do have a withdrawal from capital reserve to address our HVAC projects that we just discussed in our budget presentation. We have an over the bid limit for another project that we're doing that we talked about in our facilities committee that would be 1.7, the Klein Electrical. Those guys are doing a bunch of refrigerators across the district. We're getting rid of some radios. We've replaced all of our radios throughout the district, and we have some surplus property. We're also looking at a food service contract and some increasing in some lunch prices across the district. Those are just par for the course for what we're seeing with regards to expenses and supply chain and all of the things that all of our vendors are also experiencing. We have the district budget. You're going to approve that tonight in 1.2 or 1.12. The numbers there are reflective as numbers in the presentation. We have some bus transportation routes that we will be approving. We have some advertising renewal project that we have advertising that we put on our school buses makes us a little bit of money every year. We have to use it to offset fuel prices, which is much needed. We had that discussion earlier. We had some professional development, some student trips, a bullying report, and student field trips, out-of-district tuition for some students, and some professional services that we're extending for our special education department. If anybody has any questions, I'll be able to address those.
Any questions? Mrs. Rogers?
Just for point of clarification, for school tuition, how, is that set by the state or is that based on our average per pupil cost?
It's per pupil cost that is determined by the state.
It's by the state?
Yes, the state gives
But
us those numbers.
it's not a cost by the state for every district. It's based upon our budget.
Yeah, it's based upon specific for the district.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mrs. Karthik?
I had a question on 1.9, the approve the renewal of food service contract. I see that we have the guaranteed return of 200,000. If you could provide some clarity on what that is.
So every year the food service provider, our Chartwells, they provide us a guaranteed return. Basically what they do is they'll do their business in the district for the entire school year, and at the end of the school year, they owe us a guaranteed return of $200,000. That's the cost for them to be able to do business in our district for us.
And I'm attributing the increase in the paid lunches to the inflation that we're experiencing right now in the
Correct.
country. I also had a question on did we go out to bid for this contract, and if we received other contracts that would be interesting?
We did. 3 years ago, we went out to bid for, we did an RFP for food service. We had, at that time, 3 companies, Chartwells being one of them, that came and attended a district walkthrough. Of the 3 vendors that came for the walkthrough, Chartwells was the only company that provided us with a proposal. And I would like to say that Chartwells has been here with South Brunswick for about 24 years now. This is a flag. They call South Brunswick a flagship district. They bring vendors, they bring clients, potential clients from other districts to South Brunswick's high school to show them the quality of the product that they put out. And they pride themselves on what they do here. And I have to say, working with previous food service providers, Chartwells and Michelle, who manages our account and does a wonderful job for us. They have been doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
You got it.
Dr. Raj?
At the same item 1.10.
Smita, bring it closer to you.
Oh, okay. Same item, 1.10. Was it discussed in the budget committee, the school lunch price increase?
No, not in the school budget committee. So the school pricing is a vendor pricing. So the school district we don't collect funds for those school prices. What they do is they work those school prices, lunch prices, into their accounts, and that's how they pay their bills. And they're like a small organization working within our district. At the end of the school year, their responsibility to us is the $200,000 guarantee.
Oh, okay.
So
that doesn't
those
involve
costs,
any decision-making.
we're not going to see any revenue generated in our books from these lunch prices. Chartwells manages all of their books and all of their lunch prices and all of their monies from all of our cafeterias.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
Dr. Rogers, just so you know, yesterday at our budget meeting, it was brought up, David and Scott did go over the chart wells and the rationale behind everything.
Okay.
And I had in the board update, a little update on this particular item that talked about some supply chain, some issues that they're dealing with their products, that they're seeing an incredible inflationary rate with regards to their products, and being able to provide and serve the same quality lunch that they do is much more difficult for them due to some inflationary issues.
Yeah, not surprising.
Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you, Mr. Pawlowski, for that. Okay, moving on to old business. We have 2 tabled items, board committees and communications, and I'm going to go over to Mr. Keener.
Yes, Ms. Meadow, thank you. We had started a conversation with regards to board committees last meeting, and I did receive some communication from fellow board members on some suggestions, but in light of the fact that we have 3 board members that aren't here, I would like to say that we should table the discussions till the next meeting.
Do we need a motion, right? No. Okay. Do we need a discussion? Are there any other questions for that? Is everybody agreeable to tabling it for our next board meeting?
Yes. You don't really need to table it. It's on the agenda. Just leave it. It's already tabled.
Thank you. That's fine. I'd just like to make a quick point here as well, that we had discussed the possibility of NJSBA to cover the CSA evaluation as well, and we're just waiting for the dates from NJSBA. It'll be at one of the next board meetings in May. So we have 2 board meetings scheduled in May. As soon as I receive further communication from them, I'll be sending out an email about that. Okay. Moving on to new business, we have none at this time, and that leads us now. Any new business? Yes. Yes.
Communications under old business, we didn't go over that. Is there anything to discuss?
So I thought that, I thought we were going to table both of these, seeing as though, yeah, we're missing 3 board members. It would be fruitful to have everybody listening and giving us their feedback.
Sure.
Right? So if that's okay? Okay. Moving on to new business, we have none at this time. And now moving on to board committee and liaison reports. I know that Mrs. Rogers has a report. Mrs. Rogers?
Oh, actually, I don't have the report. We just had the curriculum committee meeting yesterday. So once the minutes are approved by the committee, we'll have that update for the following meeting. And I'll just continue real quick. The zoning, I was not able to go to the zoning board meeting because it was a board meeting, district board meeting here.
Yes.
But just if you haven't noticed already, the building has started, the construction, has started on the apartments, condos, I guess you would call them, over on 522 behind Stop and Shop.
Princeton Orchards.
Yes, that's right, Princeton Orchards, thank you. I could not remember the name. But it has started, and sadly, all the trees have been knocked down. So you'll see that construction going on at this point. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other committee reports, liaison reports? Mr. Keener? Mr.
Yes,
Keener.
Ms. Mehta. Just wanted to report that the Budget and the Finance Committee did have a committee meeting last evening, which we did go over the budget. David and Scott gave us the sad news, and as they've reported in their report tonight, we're at a crossroad, and we really need to hope that the state steps up, or there are going to be some drastic things happening, unfortunately, in South Brunswick. But we did have a meeting last night. I just want to make it on the record in the absence of the committee chair this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keener. Anybody else?
Also, I forgot that because our committee chair for facilities is not present, we did have the meeting on Monday.
Yes.
Joe Scaletti is our chair. He went through the pretty much everything that we went through with Dave today. And pleased to see that the health center is on schedule. Can't wait for a grand opening. That's it. Thank you.
Mrs. Karthik?
Question, is it possible for us to get us like sort of an update on the negotiations?
Yes, I'm about to give that, Mrs. Karthik. I wait for everybody else first to give their comments and reports before I give mine. Okay, moving on now to the Negotiations Committee report. The Negotiations Committee, consisting of myself, Barry Nathanson, Dr. Smita Raj, Dr. Jennifer Disler, Kim Malloy-White, David Pulowski, Scott Feder, and our board attorney, Kerry Wright, met with SBEA on March 14th and April 19th to discuss ongoing negotiations. We have exchanged proposals, and discussions were extremely positive as we continue to move towards an agreement. Our next meeting is on Monday, the 16th of May. That's the end of my report.
Which we need this contract in place?
No, we're just in the process of several negotiations. We will update you as to when we have some further information.
But wait, what was the question?
Is there a timeline that we need?
He just wants to know when the current contract expires.
June 30th.
This contract expires June 30th. The goal always would be to have a contract in place before the next one. But there's no legitimate, like, must drop dead date. A contract, if you don't have a new contract, you work with the old contract until a new one.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? So moving on now to action items, and that is the approval of the consent agenda of today's date, April 28th, 2022. Please, can we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Make a motion that we adopt the consent
Thank you, Mr.
agenda.
Keener, making motion. Can I have a second? Dr. Raj, a second. Any discussions? Any abstentions?
You got a roll call.
Or opposed? Okay, roll call, please. Mr. Pulowski.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik?
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell?
Yes.
Dr. Smita Raj? Mrs. Lisa Rogers?
Yes.
And Mrs. Joyce Mehta?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Pulowski. This leads us to our second opportunity for public comment on any topic. Is there anybody who would like to make any public comments? Seeing none. Seeing none, that closes that portion of the public comments. And we are now on adjournment. Can I have a motion for an adjournment? Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, seconded by Dr. Smita Raj. All in favor? Aye. Good night, South Brunswick.